Let's start with England. Gareth Southgate's future. We've got a former Scotland international, Republic of Ireland international. So, what is your take on England and Southgate?
What, for the World Cup, in this World Cup now?
Yep.
I actually think the World Cup for England has actually been quite good. I think if you're looking at it, if you're looking at all the games, the way in which they've played, outside the US game where I felt as though things could have been changed within that game, but you have to look at the French game as a game in itself, and I think England were the better side in that match. I thought all the key players were playing. I thought the technical aspect of the game was absolutely there in most aspects. That's what I would say, most aspects of the game. But it gets to the stage where what is the difference maker? How are you going to actually find that difference in the final third? And that's the area that England invariably have always just struggled to maybe beat a side that's got this maverick player. And England do have a type of player that can change a game for them, but they weren't able to get those key players in certain positions at times, because I felt as though there was a French defence that were actually vulnerable, that they could have actually got at. When they did get at them, they could have easily scored. It felt to me they could have scored at any time, and they just didn't do enough, I felt, in that final third to really go on and win that match.
Yeah, and when you look at how difficult it is to select the players, he's got so many to choose from. That was his first issue, but I think he got that right with Foden and Bellingham being in there, and he went away from the three at the back, which I was pleased with, trying to play a more attacking style. But ultimately these games just come down to moments. That's the hardest part for probably the England squad and Gareth Southgate to understand, because they were a better team against France. But France just had that experience and that knowledge and understood the key moments in the game, and unfortunately for England, they were out of the competition and they probably didn't deserve to be.
Is Southgate the man to take England that step further, or do England maybe need to make a change? What's the case for him staying? What's the case for him going?
I can't say there's a real case that there's been serious progression. I wouldn't say that. I think that the talented players that have come around as a group, that's been developed, and he's had to nurture those players. And I think the goodwill towards the English players is absolutely there now, because the mentality maybe of maybe outsiders looking in at that England side, I think everyone feels totally different, and that's solely down to Southgate and his man management and what he's done with that team. But on the pitch, has there been serious progression in what we've seen 6 years ago? I don't necessarily see that, and that's the way that I would feel, because I feel though that England probably should have won the Euros. Probably, if maybe going back in 4 years to the Croatia game in the semi-final, I thought they were in a better position 4 years ago to go and beat Croatia, because they had better players than them. So I think in those key moments that Stevie's touched on, I think they've always failed, really.
If he were to leave, would he get a top Premier League job? Maybe a Champions League team in the Premier League or across Europe?
Great question.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it? It's a hard one.
It's what those Champions League sides would look to. His lack of experience at the top end of the Premier League probably would go against him, because he hasn't had that experience there. Maybe his lack of coaching at day-to-day management would go against him, because they'd want someone to go in immediately and get results. And I think he's capable, absolutely capable. That's what I would say right now. He is, but if you're in the hands, or you owned one of the top Premier League clubs or one of the top 6-8 clubs, would you look to him as your first go-to guy because of his lack of experience in the last 10 years or so?
And I also just wonder about his temperament, which works great with this England squad and at international level. Does he have the temperament for the day-to-day at the highest end of the game? That's going to be so difficult to kind of replicate international success there. So I just wonder if he gets that chance. It would surprise me, to be honest, if he gets a Chelsea, a Man City, a Liverpool, a Man United. I think that he's probably going to have to do something in between and show that he can replicate the very positive things he's did at international level at the club level.
Let's finish on the World Cup semi-finals then. How do you see both games? And I guess we've got to talk about Messi, because everybody's talking about Messi.
Yeah, you want to see him win it, don't you? Every neutral wants to see him win it.
Did you ever play against him?
Kevin marked him at the game.
I did. We won't talk about that
we
yet.
We need to hear this story.
He didn't score. He was substituted after an hour. I was playing left back directly up against him, but he didn't have his best of days that day.
What was he like to play against?
He's so he is so unique and in so many different ways. And he had his cigar out that night. He was half cocked. He wasn't even really trying that night. It was a friendly international game, but he just had a unique way of being able to beat you. You know, it's everybody has seen the body movement where he'll drop the shoulder to the right and almost like flick it over your leg with his left foot, and you just can't stop it. You genuinely can't stop it. I'd maybe go back to days when I was a kid watching football, watching Georgie King-Clancy, that type of player that you knew exactly what he was going to do. Aaron Robin would have been another one who was brilliant at Chelsea when we went up against him. You knew what they were going to do but couldn't stop it. But he's way beyond even that. When he beats you, he goes on and creates and scores, and he's a master. In my opinion, the best ever. I always think that because of course, the achievements, but also just seeing him every game now, the level that he's at. I think he can even play in a different position. I actually think he can play as a holder. There's talk of him coming over to North America to play in the MLS. I'd like him to stay in and have a couple more seasons at cracks at Champions League and playing maybe in a different position, a different role within the side, because I think he can do it.